All right. Hello, everyone. Yes, we are here, of course, once again for we've already, believe it or not, hit the finale of Big Brother Canon 9. This season is in the books. I can't believe it. We were supposed to do this video yesterday, and then it didn't work out. So we're doing it now. Of course, as always, though, I am joined by my co-host, Aly. How are you doing today?
I am fantastic. I got a new shirt today.
Yes, and you did not have to go to work, so we were able to do this earlier.
Yeah. About that, I guess I was scheduled, but I guess on their schedule in the back I wasn't. So yeah, it's very weird.
That's funny. All right, so anyway, let's get into our guest today. So remember how I said on our previous episode that we were going to have all of these guests come back from like the previous installments, and it was going to be great. Yeah, that didn't really work out. We did manage to get one alumni that's been on this podcast before, but that's the only person we were able to get. And so we'll just introduce him. He has in fact stepped in, and we always really do appreciate that. Here he is, Santa Claus himself, Mike V.
What it do, baby?
What's up?
Hey.
Very happy to have you here, because like I said, I thought for a while we were gonna have no guests. Everyone was busy. Everyone has like things going on. You know, it's the weekend, things get crazy. But I knew we had to do this podcast sooner or later. But before we do get into it overall, just brief thoughts on the finale. Whatever you guys want to say.
I will jump in here. Representation matters.
Yes.
Breydon hit the nail on the head. Tychon hit the nail on the head.
Oh, yeah.
Phenomenal final two.
Yes.
Great winner. Great season.
Yes.
Yeah, this honestly,
beautiful.
I said to Aly before this, I was very worried because Big Brother has this trend with me where the seasons that I really like end up really shitty, and the ones that I don't like have really good finales. So I was really worried that this was going to continue the trend, and thankfully that was not the case at all. This is probably the best finale I've seen from Big Brother in quite a bit.
I think so too.
Very rare that I'm this satisfied with ending a season. There's not a lot of moments where I'm like, oh, well, this could have happened and then this could have happened. I'm very pleased with how things overall played out. There are a couple gripes here and there. You know, not every finale is perfect, but I do think this is definitely one of the most satisfying finales we've ever had from Big Brother in like a long time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I guess we'll just get into it. There is a lot to talk about, but there also is not a lot to talk about, obviously, because it was the finale. But what was good is that it was 2 hours. So there definitely was a lot to get into. So we start off, we get this really elongated recap that's telling the story about everything that happened this season. It was like 15 minutes. I thought it was so fucking cheesy. I know you were like crying in it, but like I thought it was really.
I liked it. Like, I just appreciate that, like, it showed everyone's stories, but it definitely was so long.
Yeah, it did do a really good job, and this is what I said on Twitter. As long as it did do a really good job in showing just how much happened this season, because there is just so much to talk about, and it's rare that is the case. Like, you look at other seasons of Big Brother, and there is stuff to talk about, but not nearly as much as there's been this season. So it made sense for it to be as long as it was. I thought in my opinion, it ran a little too long, but it did a pretty good job of, you know, summing up the season as a whole. So yeah, that we got that. Not really a ton to say there, but we get to the part 1 of the HOH. And I have to say right now, this has to be one of the most grueling competitions I've ever seen in Big Brother. I mean, this comp seemed fucking impossible, basically. It was like they had this hoverboard that was gliding. They had 60 discs that need to be stacked, and they had 4 hours to compete this competition.
Mm-hmm.
4 hours. And you're thinking, okay, you can just stack the discs. But the thing is, it's not that easy, because like if you have even the slightest bit of movement, the discs are just going to like tip over. What did you guys think of like this competition overall? Because for me, like this is easily one of the hardest ones I've seen Big Brother do in quite a bit.
I'm going to be perfectly honest here. My internet gave out, so I actually did not get to tune in until after.
Oh my god, not that.
Until the moment Breydon won it. So
not that. Yeah, I was watching this comp and I was so stressed out. Like I wasn't even playing it, but I was so stressed watching.
I mean,
and for all three of the players, not just because like obviously I did not want Tera to win the comp, but like let's say Breydon's was shaking, I was freaking out. Ty's was shaking, I was freaking out. Even when Tera's was shaking, I was freaking out because I felt what they were feeling. Like they were at a point where they could win it. They were at a point where they were getting so close to stacking it, and then it just toppled over. That happened so many times.
I definitely or maybe we can all rewatch that part so Mike can see it. But during that challenge, I thought it was
do an instant replay right now. No, we won't. We don't want to get copyrighted.
No. But when I was watching, I definitely liked the comp. It was really fun, and it was definitely one of the best comps I've seen. But it also gave me anxiety just watching.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the most stressful ones they've done. They've done a lot of the time part one is very physical, but this one wasn't just like physical. It was also very mental in that way, and also just really stressful to watch because you have that added component of like these discs are not very secure. They can topple at any point. All you have to do is just a little bit of movement. Like you literally have to be so delicate with it. That's why it's 4 hours. And what's crazy about this comp is that they're actually unable to complete it in that time. That's how hard this comp really was. So they get to this sudden death match, and I really didn't know what was going to happen. I really did not know if they were going to be able to pull this out, if they were actually who was actually going to end up winning this. But we see they get to this sudden death challenge. I believe they had the stack what was it, 25 or 30 or something like that.
Something like that.
But ultimately, Breydon does end up winning part one here, which I was so happy about. Just the look on his face and how happy he was about it. I mean, it was such a great win for him. I really didn't know, especially compared to the fact that Ty's been winning so many comps and we know how good he is physically, but then Tera's also been winning a lot of comps lately. I didn't know how Breydon was going to fare here, but he really pulled out the win, and it was really great to see. I loved just getting to see Breydon win this comp.
Me too. I was so happy because now all we need is Ty to win part two, and then
pretty much.
Part two of the HOH takes place, and it's a day's comp, which is definitely one of Ty's strong suits.
Oh, yeah.
And they have to throw a ball into the correct number, and after another very exhausting comp, Ty ends up winning, which with an impressive time of 11 minutes, which I am very excited about.
The second that they said it involved having to throw a ball, I'm like, oh, Ty's gonna pull this out. He's literally an athlete. He knows what he's doing here, and it was not close at all. That's the thing. They edited in such a way where you maybe thought it was close, but Tera had 40 minutes and he had 11 minutes. There was just no way. There was no way that Tera was going to end up winning. I'm not sure if your internet gave out during this comp, but what did you think of watching this comp overall?
Stressful. There was a certain person in there that I really didn't want to win.
Oh, yes.
And there was someone there that I really, really wanted to win.
Yes.
Yeah.
And based on what I've heard, it was basically
it was not
exciting moment.
In any way. And I like I said, I pretty much knew Ty was going to win the second they announced what the comp really was, but it was just a matter of is he going to win? And the second he pulled it off, I was like, yes, so we're set to go. We have Breydon winning part one, Ty winning part two. At this point, I didn't care who won part three because it just mattered that the two of them were going to be in the final two. And it's just such a special moment, not just because obviously the representation of it all, which is so rare in Big Brother, especially for them to be able to get to the end, I think is amazing. But it's also the fact that these two have been working so closely together and they've been able to pull it off. And there was never a point where, things were looking dire for them. They've been in lockstep pretty much since the beginning of the jury phase, pretty much since Breydon lost Austin and started working closely with the remnants of the Sunsetters. Those two have been so close since then, and it's just been amazing to watch their journey and them finally get to the final two together. It was just such an amazing moment, and I love the way that whole thing was done. So we do get a jury roundtable of sorts from Anthony Douglas, who is hosting it, and which I know he's not from everyone's favorite season.
Yeah, but I mean, I like that there was more representation.
Oh yeah, that was great. Definitely. So,
and I mean, I don't dislike him at all. So
yeah. So basically, he hosts the jury roundtable. Kiefer arrives. Everyone seems shocked because they actually thought it was going to be Ty. They thought for sure that Ty was going to be the one that was in there, and just the look on their faces, you can see they're shocked. They're shocked that someone actually finally took Kiefer out, and it makes sense because every single jury segment we've talked about this, they have been like, Kiefer's got this, Kiefer. They have been so team Kiefer in that way that to finally see him like come out there, it's like, well, we got to think of other options, I guess.
Yeah.
So it was crazy the way that pulled out. And we see immediately when they're talking about Ty, Beth and Jed are first really bitter. They think for sure that he's played like a floater game and that they don't think that he's going to end up, that they don't think that he should get to the end and things like that. And I knew that Beth was going to be bitter. I knew it. I knew that Beth, the way that she is, I knew that there was no way that she wasn't going to be bitter here. And it seemed like Jed had that same bitterness towards Ty, but I like that Kiefer was able to really stick up for him here and say, like, I would have taken him out if I would. I would have, I would have taken him out if I would. I saw that he was a big threat. I like that Kiefer is really rallying for Ty to win. I know we talked about this on the last episode, but like, Kiefer literally said to Ty, like, this is your moment. I'm going to get you that win. And he absolutely meant it. And like, again, not too much to be shocked about here in terms of the jury roundtable when it comes to Ty. The thing that's interesting to me, though, is that they were absolutely over the moon for Breydon. They really wanted Breydon to win. They said he's so likable and such a threat in that way. And then we did see a very scary moment where Jed said that if Tera was in the final two, he would have voted for her. And I don't want to think about that, but like,
oh god,
what did you guys think of this roundtable overall?
Well, I just don't like that Beth was so bitter.
Were we shocked though? Like,
4 out of 10. Too much Beth.
Oh yeah,
it was just so. Oh, she's just so annoying.
If we're being honest, I'm still trying to recover my hearing from hearing Beth.
Honestly, I saw some really great tweets on.
I'm literally a rock musician. Like,
I saw a lot of great tweets where people were like using like the mute button on their phone every time that Beth spoke. I love that.
That is a long running Big Brother meme, and I love it every time.
I remember Big Brother 18, like they were doing that for everyone.
It was Nicole.
Oh yeah.
No. There was one where it was literally like the entire cast except for like one person.
Probably Devon.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Rightfully so. We love Devon.
I mean, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I overall liked this roundtable. I will agree what people said. It was a little too short. It was very short. We didn't really get to see a lot of the jury's thoughts. I will say the one thing I did love is that Anthony Douglas seemed just as annoyed by Beth as we are. Like, he wanted absolutely nothing to do with it.
I mean, can you blame him?
He was probably like rolling his eyes and then and like, I don't want to think about anyone voting for Tera to win. I feel like the only one who would be like Tina.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, like, I wish that he didn't have that mask on so we could have actually seen like his reaction. Like it would have been absolutely priceless.
That would have been so funny.
Rolling his eyes at Beth and just being so annoyed by her. It was great. I love that he's just annoyed. He's just as annoyed with Beth as we are. That was probably the highlight of the entire roundtable for me. But like I said, it was good overall. I like that we had a mediator in there. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I think that definitely we could have gotten to see some of the other jury members' thoughts, but overall, it did what it needed to do, and it set us up for what I thought was going to be a really interesting endgame. Because like heading into this, it seemed like they were very like pro Breydon, and well, we'll get to what ends up happening. But let's talk about part 3. What happened in part 3, Aly?
All right. Well, Arisa checks in with the final 3, and then it's time, which is a quiz style.
I don't know why I took a note about that. I didn't even write it down.
It's like a quiz style about the events throughout the season, and and it's a really extremely close comp.
Yeah.
And Ty ends up winning. He pulls off the win, securing his spot in final 2.
This comp was absolutely insane. I mean, it was literally tied the entire time. Like, you didn't know what was actually going to happen here. And what's really interesting is I saw someone bring this up. The strategies between Bray and Ty could not be any more different. Bray is ringing in immediately at every single question. He's just on it. And it seemed like he was really going to pull this off. Whereas Ty really was taking his time to like think over the answer. Like, he was double checking it and triple checking, and then he was locking it in when he felt good about it. And you know, you would think, oh, maybe that ends up hurting him, but that's actually what got him the win, because Breydon buzzed in too soon and realized, oh, fuck, I don't know the answer here. So I really liked the way that was done, just seeing the different strategies between the two. I feel like Ty kind of set a new precedent for this comp. It's not really about speed. It's just about knowledge. It's about knowing what you know. In the game, it's about being able, it's about having the right, it's not about buzzing in, you know, immediately. It's about buzzing in when you feel you have the correct answer. And I think Ty really kind of mastered this comp in that way.
Yeah, he's really smart, and that's like definitely one of the comps for him.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he really pulled this one off for sure. So really great stuff to watch. So we see that the so basically what ends up happening after this is obviously he now has to make the choice between whether or not he wants it to be Breydon or Tera, but we knew there was no choice here. He obviously picks Breydon as the final 2, and I love that he mentions the representation, how much that's important to him. It was just a really amazing moment to see those two actually get to the final 2. It just felt like a big deal. I feel like this is something we're going to be talking about for a long time, even beyond Big Brother, just like reality TV in general. This will be a season that people are going to look back to and say, like, finally history was made here. Finally something. And obviously, yes, Celebrity Big Brother, but like in terms of the regular Big Brother seasons, it hasn't happened in a North American, you know, regular season of Big Brother. Finally, it ends up happening here, and it was just amazing to watch.
Yeah, it was definitely like just very inspiring and just a very pure moment.
Yes. But like I said, especially because they've been working like so closely together in that way, it was just such an amazing moment to watch. So we then see the jury is welcome back. Tera's introduced as the last member of the jury, and we get to the questions. And this is where things get interesting because we have a few questions here. Now, I will say, the first time I watched this, I was kind of disappointed by Ty with his answers. I'm not going to lie. I felt like he was bungling a lot of them. I felt like he was answering them very quickly. But honestly, I just rewatched it. It's really not that his answers were bad. He did a pretty good job. It's just next to Breydon, who was so articulate and just so on point with every single one of his answers. You can tell he thought about this so thoroughly. I think that's why Ty's fell in comparison. His answers there were some answers he gave that I thought were pretty good, especially when it comes to his final speech, which we'll talk about. But like, what did you guys think of the answers between Ty and Breydon?
I agree that Breydon did a really good job articulating his points and whatnot. However, I do still believe that regardless, I think Ty handled himself the best he could. And nonetheless, a person who never had to touch the block.
Yeah.
Sitting in the final 2.
Yeah, that's
one other person has done it.
Yeah, that's the one thing. He didn't bring it up as much as I would have wanted him to. I think that should have been like a big point, especially in his final speech. But I think as well, it's like the obvious thing he could bring up, and it's like if you keep hammering home just that one point, it makes it seem like you didn't do really anything else. What he did was really show what he was able to do to get there, and I think that was really well done. I think probably his best answer was probably the one that Tina asked him, where she asked him like why he made moves the first 55, like were there any moves he made the first 55 days of the game that weren't like orchestrated by other Sunsetters, because he definitely was instrumental in quite a few things, and I think he answered them really well for sure. The thing for me though is that Breydon's answers made me more impressed by his game. The best answer he gave, I thought, is when he was asked by Roe, like if Ty used him to further his own game. And Bray said in some ways he actually did that for Ty. And that's kind of true because he basically showed Ty that there is an in that's not just with the Sunsetters. He has a path without the Sunsetters. He has a path with Breydon than, say, Jed and Beth. And I think Ty already knew that, like, he was probably the third there, but he was looking for someone else that he could work with. And, you know, Bray came in, offered that to him, and I think he did a really good job of, like, articulating himself there and really showing, like, how both of them benefited each other's game. And I think it just made Breydon's game that much more impressive to me.
I think Breydon was definitely more articulate, but I think Ty had more passion.
Yeah, definitely. And especially when it comes to the final speeches here, which you're going to talk about. But like I said, at this point, I was like, ooh, I don't know, Ty. I don't know if you have the win that I think you're going to. I felt like Breydon might have pulled this out because I just thought he gave the better answers. And again, watching it back, Ty did not give bad answers at all. And I think there were definitely some questions that he could have answered a little bit better, but he did as good as he could. It just was next to Breydon. I thought he definitely did give the stronger answers.
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
No, but either way, I think I still believe Ty had a far better resume.
Oh yeah, definitely, and that's the thing. He definitely did more in the game, which I think he sums up very well in this final speech, which you're gonna get into.
Okay.
Before we do that, I do want to add that, like everyone said, losing Austin was the best thing that could have happened to Breydon's game.
Absolutely. Which she brings up, I believe, when Arisa interviews all the pre-jurors. But yeah, that definitely was the best thing that could have happened for Breydon. Because at that point, like, he was playing very quietly. We didn't really know if he was really playing the game. And I think once Austin left, like, we saw, oh no, Breydon's definitely been playing the game. And like, he got to step it up there. Specifically in Best HOH week, he really got to do some damage there.
He was playing more of what, like, a true, I want to say it's a true floater game. Unfortunately, the lines are so permanently damaged there between a floater and a coaster.
Yeah,
that a certain overrated house guest ruined for us as an old school Big Brother fan.
True.
But yeah.
I think it's still you because you still have.
I talked about all the questions.
Oh, I think you didn't talk about the Jed or Beth one.
Oh no, I just wrote those down. Just like I didn't mean to read those. I just wrote those down so like I knew what they were.
Oh, okay.
In case I needed them, but I'm not going to go through like every question.
Okay. All right. Well, Ty gives a speech saying that he knew coming in he'd have a target on his back. He made moves that he felt would protect his people as a shield, so he didn't have to make them himself until he had to make them.
Yeah, I thought this was a really good speech. I think this is really where Ty ended up saving himself. Particularly, the thing that stuck out the most to me is when he talks about how all of the people that he worked with basically did his dirty work. Like, if you think about it, Austin was not coming for Vic, but you know who she was coming for? Ty. She thought Ty was the invisible HOH, and she was ready to come for him. So, like, he knew he needed her out. Roe was not really coming for Kiefer, even though Kiefer thought he was. He wasn't really coming for him, but he was coming for Ty, and Ty needed him out. And I thought, for me, that was the most impressive part of the speech, because that's something I really did not think about, is like, there were a lot of moves made by house guests that did not make sense this season, and we knew that. We knew that there were a lot of moves where it's like, what are you doing? Why are you getting this person in? Because Ty needed them out, and they didn't realize that they were playing his game all along. And I think that's very impressive. It's very hard to pull that off, especially convincing people to make moves that are not advantageous for them, but somehow he was able to do that. And for me, that's the most impressive part of his game.
Yes, it was Agatha all along.
Pretty much, yeah. The one thing I will say that did very much annoy me, and I'm sure you guys will agree,
Ooh.
We have a 2-hour finale, and she's cutting them off after like a minute. And I understand that obviously you need time to do other things, but like it is absolutely impossible to talk about 70-day plus game in like a minute.
70.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's impossible to do that. And I just feel like they needed at least two. Because even Breydon like ended up getting cut off, and his speech wasn't nearly as like as all over the like. I wouldn't say ties all over the place, but like it was very like passionate, and you could tell that he was kind of like rattling off points in his head. Whereas it felt like Breydon's like he really like studied his speech and like he was like practicing it and all that stuff.
Yeah, I definitely think they should have had like a little more time, like a minute and a half or 2 minutes.
Oh yeah.
I was just because maybe
especially with like what we get later on, it's like you could have easily.
Because I mean, maybe if there was more time, Ty could have talked about him being unnominated.
Right, because that's the thing. He did not really get to talk about that. Now, I will say, I think in some ways he did. He just didn't specifically say the words, I was never nominated. I think what he did instead is basically show, like, here's how I wasn't nominated. You know the obvious. Let me give you a rundown of how I was able to do that.
Mm-hmm. And
the final two speeches are not and never will be the place to cut for time, ever.
No. Yeah.
Way too important to cut for time there.
Absolutely. I've never
just to waste 5, 10, 20 minutes on pre-jury shit. Like, we don't care.
Exactly.
We don't care about Beth. We care about Tychon and Breydon.
Yeah.
Please stop.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, you do that. You do that if and only if you have time after the speeches.
And Bray's speech on the other hand, is able to give a quick and passionate speech about how he was able to overcome so many members of his original alliance leaving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought that was overall a good speech from him. He definitely summed up his game very well. But again, too quick. He needed more time to really rattle off certain things. The one thing that he definitely could have pointed out, and he really didn't, is him really orchestrating Beth's HOH, because it really wasn't what Beth wanted to do. It's what Breydon convinced her to do. And I think he definitely had a big hand in that. And I think that's definitely something that he absolutely could have brought up that he just unfortunately didn't get to. So I think these were good for sure, but I think if they were able to go off even more, they could have been like some of the best speeches we've had.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think that's the one thing that was a little bit disappointing to me. But like Mike said, we do get to then see the 5 pre-jurors again. And we see Julie is asked about the impact she has made, and she talks about how outraged everyone was, but how much support the community and the LGBTQ community has had. And I really enjoyed getting to see all of the pre-jurors again. It really just kind of reminded us of like how good this cast was, that even some of the pre-jurors like had as much to say as they did. I thought that was really great. And, sucked to lose Julie first, definitely. I know a lot of people want her back. I know Mike is not one of them.
Listen, if you're going to go out unanimously on day 6, you are not an all-star. Sorry.
It wasn't unanimous. Victoria did a hinky vote, but yeah, basically.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Almost unanimous.
Yeah, basically unanimous.
Would you guys have voted for her, or would you
I would have voted for Josh, probably. He was causing...
I would have voted for Julie. She was playing far too much of a messy game, and...
I would either vote Josh, or I would throw it.
Yeah. So speaking of Josh, I like this question that Josh was asked. He asked about how when he blew up the house and how much chaos was in the house. And he said something that I thought was really interesting, how his week kind of set the tone for the season. And like, he's not wrong. Like really, that was the week where like all the chaos was starting at once. We saw there were house meetings and things like that. And then everyone very slowly like got at each other's throats. So like, he's not wrong when he says like, he kind of set the tone. And it kind of sucks to see Josh go so early, because I feel like a lot of damage in the game, but they just didn't really give him a chance.
They kind of treated him pretty poorly, if you ask
me. Yeah, they did.
They did.
That did almost turn me off of the season in the beginning.
Yeah, they did. So we then get this moment with Latoya and how she feels about the Sunsetters imploding. And basically, she absolutely takes the time to just destroy Jed and Beth here, saying that like Jed putting Kiefer up is like what destroyed his game. And then the best moment, of course, is when she says that there was a showmance going on that I don't think any of us liked. And just the way that she spoke so candidly about this, I thought was so fucking funny. Like she didn't hold back at all in any way. And like that's the thing I do love about Latoya is that she was very straightforward. She didn't like bullshitting people. And we definitely did get to see that here. I think that was something that she demonstrated throughout the season. It kind of was the detriment to her game. I feel like the fact that she was so honest and she was so forthright with the way that she was going for people. But considering the people that she was going after here, I loved every second of it. And Breydon's reaction especially. I mean, that was all of us in that moment where Breydon is just absolutely dying of what she said. I mean, that's exactly how we were feeling. It was so good.
I love that. It's even funnier watching Tychon right next to him having like no reaction to it.
Yeah. He's like, oh yeah, I know people don't like it. I don't give a shit.
That was great.
Yeah, because he didn't even like it. That was what?
If anybody on that pre-jury is truly deserving of a second chance, if you ask me, it is Latoya.
Yeah.
Latoya in the house showed a lot of potential. She was very confrontational. She was proven to be a great game player.
Oh yeah.
And unfortunately that was cut far too soon. And if you'd asked me right in the beginning of the game like that, I would tell you I think Latoya is going to win this.
Yeah, it's interesting because I remember like a lot of people on Twitter were saying like Latoya is this amazing player. We've never seen someone like her before. She has so much to win, and then she was just taken out week 3. I think what ultimately hurt her is that she was doing so good in the first few weeks, and you need to not. You need to not do that. So you need to like kind of be a bit more low key. You need to definitely like lay low. That's what worked out for say Ty, for example. Like he definitely was involved in conversations, but he never was like, at the forefront of it. Like say the Kyle and Latoya fight, for example, like he wasn't fully involved with that. It was more just he got involved because his name was brought up at one point, but like that was mainly Latoya and Kyle. And if you're gonna be so gun ho,
it was Kyle and Kiefer and Latoya stepped in.
Yeah,
which she said no lies there. And as a former mini player, I fully agree. If your name isn't thrown out there, I don't think you're playing the game right. No, unless you're like Tychon or somebody.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think she definitely had the right ideas. I think she just needed to not be like as straightforward as she was. And like
I might have misquoted that actually.
What?
I might have misquoted that actually.
Oh.
Yeah, no, the line was like, if there's anyone causing chaos, it is you. If there's anyone doing something, it is you. Like that. That was her line. But I meant
the quote about if you're supposed.
Oh yeah. If you have heard your name, you should hear your name. Because we're playing Big Brother. Yeah, that was definitely interesting for sure. I think she definitely does have a lot of potential. I think again, if she just dials down some of that more straightforward and again just coming so hard for people like right out the gates, I think she can actually do really well in this game. So I do agree with you. I think she has massive potential, and I
would like to see her on a second.
If we're talking pre-jurors like all-star consideration, I think Latoya is definitely the first person they think.
Latoya, absolutely.
I definitely think Latoya would definitely be like a second chance all-star, but then I think Austin and Josh definitely deserve redemption.
I would argue Austin only for popularity purposes.
Yeah.
I didn't care much for her gameplay, if we're being honest, but her popularity.
Yeah, she really did not. She really did not do much.
She
really did not do much, but I also feel like her game was kind of cut short before she could do anything.
Yeah.
Well, she had an HOH, but she got Josh out, which is something everybody wanted. So that was kind of a cheap move.
Yeah.
Right, because she didn't want to like rock the boat the first week, which I get. But
I mean,
basically, speaking of Austin, Kyle's asked this question about him and Austin, if there's a future for them. Who gives a shit? Let's move on.
Who cares? I would rather see Jed and Beth. Sorry.
I don't know about that. But
well, that's my only option. I'm kind of blocked by half of the other one, so
that's true.
He just doesn't like Kyle.
Some people prefer to block others rather than be held accountable for things they say on the TV show. So, yeah, this is a call out. We're holding you accountable, sir.
Yeah.
If anybody's getting put on blast, it is you.
Yeah, I never disliked Kyle, but really thinking about this cast, he's the one person I'm definitely not going to remember.
He was so condescending in that fight with Latoya.
With Kyle, he was fine, I guess. He was just very boring.
Yeah, he just didn't really offer much of anything.
He was very
with Kyle and Austin before. What were we going to say?
I just think Kyle's very forgettable.
Yeah, definitely. And I said it with Kyle and Austin before, like, if they're happy, I'm happy, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, same.
So, like, I don't give a shit. So I did really like
down alternate.
Yeah, he definitely. I did really like the question that Austin was asked, though, where she's asked about if her being evicted was the best thing to happen to Breydon.
Yes,
and I like that she, she says basically that, like, it's the best thing to happen because, he was in that duo and it put this huge target on his back. And I think this was a really good way to sum up Breydon's game because, after that, I mean, we kind of thought he was done. Like, you can watch back. We said, I don't think Breydon is in a great spot after this. But really thinking about it, there were so many opportunities where they could have gone for him and they didn't. And not to mention every time that he was on the block, there were no votes cast against him. None. Like, he didn't have a single vote cast against him this entire game until this finale, pretty much.
Yeah.
You could say he didn't have a single vote cast against him.
It's very impressive, though.
Yeah. Yeah, so really impressive game for him, and I think she did do a pretty good job overall summing up his game. So I like this. I think they did some good stuff with the pre-jurors. There's nothing I would really cut here, and I think they did a good job with that. But then we get like 5 montages, and the first one Aly's going to talk about is definitely important. The next one, not so much, but go ahead.
Yeah, we got this great montage of all the amazing conversations this season.
Yes.
It's like about diversity and how representation really truly does matter.
Mm-hmm.
And Kiefer says he was thrilled by this cast and was hoping he could just be himself, and he cares about his community and everything he did was for them.
Yeah, I love this. I think this was definitely needed in that way, especially when it comes to Big Brother. It's not really well known for positive representation, and the representation that it does have, it's not depicted them in a very friendly light, so to speak. So I think this was definitely the breath of fresh air that we needed. It was a truly diverse cast, and I think they absolutely earned this montage because they showed these players be authentically themselves. They weren't being stereotyped. They weren't, trying to fit the narrative that the producers wanted. They were themselves, and we love that as a result. And I hope moving forward in terms of Big Brother, I really hope that Big Brother US takes a lesson from this because, like, this is the way you're supposed to portray POCs. This is the way that you have a fully diverse cast. Just let them be themselves. Don't make them, fit a script. Don't make them do what you want them to do. Like, just let them be themselves. And I think we saw this season.
I would also like to add that to have a truly fully diverse cast, it's not just about casting 50% POCs.
Oh yeah.
We need to cast the other half of that cast. You need to have your white representation be safe for those POCs coming in. For example, they almost blundered that with
Ethan,
casting choice of Ethan Quinn.
Oh gosh,
everything came out about him.
Crazy to think about how he was almost there.
Moved him.
I know.
Yeah, but I've said this before, I 100% blame Robin Cast for that because this was the last season that she was casting. So I really do believe that moving forward for just Big Brother in general, it's going to be better. I know a lot of people are wary going into US, but we have the casting director for Over the Top. That's one of the best casts ever. So I'm hopeful that it ends up working out. I just hope moving forward that, again, we're just able to get these players in the way that they would want to be portrayed. We don't want something like Devon where she's referred to in a term that she doesn't really like. And she says it basically because she just like lets it happen. She just kind of like tolerates it in that way. And then seasons later, she's like, I actually don't like being called that. I don't want to see things like that anymore. I want to see just players in general be depicted in the way that they would want to be. And I think that's definitely what we got to see this season, which was great to see. And like I said, I think they definitely earned every second of this montage.
I loved it so much. And it was just like a very like wholesome moment. Nope.
What just happened?
Oh, my dad was telling me dinner's ready, but like I said, really great montage. He left. You're saying hi. He's not here.
Go the fuck to bed. No.
Not that. But yeah, I really enjoyed this montage a lot. I really liked the way that it was handled. Unfortunately, it's not the only montage we get.
Yeah, we then get a montage showing how much messy gameplay happened throughout the season.
This was completely unnecessary.
No,
I don't understand why we had this. You had an entire BB Can Awards episode to showcase this. And like the whole time they were showing this, I'm like, you could have devoted those 5 minutes to Ty and Breydon, explaining their game.
Right?
Really showing why they needed to win. Like when I think about what they could have easily cut out of this episode, this easily could have just been plucked out and you could have like put it on YouTube just like as a deleted scene or something. There was no reason to have this here.
Literally no point for this. It was just filler, but they should have given them more time for their speeches.
Yeah, like it's, again, I enjoy the reunion stuff. I do, but it's if you have time. That's what I've always said. It's if you have time.
Yeah.
The final 2 is what's important. It's their story. It's not, and I get it that you're trying to tell the story of the season. You're trying to really end on the most satisfying note possible, but you have a 2-hour finale. Utilize it. Give those final 2 the time that they need. They earn their way there. There's no reason to have all of this extra shit that you easily could have cut. And for me, this was the most egregious example of like, this does not need to be here. You could have easily scrapped this.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just highly unnecessary, not needed very much at all. But thankfully, it's then time to crown the winner. And like I said, this was very interesting to me because going into this, I really thought Breydon had this. I did. I said it to you on call when we were watching the episode. I said, I think this is Breydon's game. I think he's going to win. And immediately when the votes were read, you need 5 votes to win. It turns out that's not the case. I actually wins the season by a 6-1 vote, which I wasn't surprised. I was not surprised about before this finale. But like I said, with the way that Breydon was answering the questions, I was a little bit concerned that maybe and I would have been happy, obviously, if Breydon won. I think it was a phenomenal game. But in my opinion, I think Ty absolutely played the best game this season, hands down.
Oh, he did.
The second half of the game.
Tychon played a top-tier game as for all-time period.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think the game that he played, again, is one that's very hard to play. Turning on your alliance and surviving, that alone is very hard to do.
He completely dismantled it, and that's so impressive. Most people, if they do that, they do not survive, but
exactly. It's usually the thing that they most regret when they walk into, like, the jury house, but it was the other way this season. It was Jed being like, I wish I did what I could so Ty didn't turn on me, which, like, how often do you see that happen? So, like, and what's also great about this win, and I've seen a lot of people sum this up, it's the first time in a while where the person that deserved to win wins the game. It's not some, floater that was under the radar throughout the majority of the game and still played a good game, but just not as good of a game as someone else that could have won. Ty played a very dominant game, and especially in the second half of the game. There were so many moves that he orchestrated. There's so many things that he did, and he actually did get to win. And I think that's just so great to see. I hope it's again a really great. It's a really great example of what Big Brother will give us moving forward in terms of winners. Let's not have Casey's win anymore. Like, can we just not have that? Like, I don't want to see that.
I'm fine with Casey's win.
Yeah,
I thought Casey was deserving.
I mean, I prefer Casey over Tyler.
I thought he played the better game.
I'm equal with them, honestly.
I don't know.
I don't like Tyler as a person, but I think Casey did deserve her win.
He definitely played a good game. It's just I just find him very.
I don't like either as a person. But
I just think he's very ingenuine.
Yeah, but I think he played. But I do still think he played a great game. And for me, this definitely is like, one of those things where like Ty played the best game and he definitely should have won. He definitely deserved the win here, and I'm very happy that he did end up getting it. A lot of people have talked about this.
I thought Casey played immaculately as well, but Tyler did blunder some jury management there.
Oh, I'm talking about the
way he treated Bailey, the way he treated Sam, that kind of cost him the win in the long run, but Casey did play phenomenally.
Yeah.
The way she had that perfect first half coaster game, and then second half came through with all those comp wins. Mm-hmm. She's currently the only winner with more than 3 veto wins.
Yeah, my thing is though, it's a boring game, and like Ty
that doesn't make it any less boring now.
Yeah, it's a boring game to watch, and that's why I don't want winners like that. I want winners like this, where not only is it a great win, but it's an impressive one because it's so much fun to watch. And I feel like Ty was just such a consistent player throughout the entire season. There were so many points in the game where we're like, all Ty needs to do is this, and he can win this game. And he did pretty much everything that he overall needed to. I think the jury management, I think he pretty much summed it up best, where it's like jury management isn't about me just having a conversation with you to make you feel better before you go. It's how I play the game.
Exactly.
Moving forward, that's how people really do end up looking at it. Because I feel like a lot of people play Big Brother very scared these days, and Ty didn't. And that's one of the reasons why he absolutely deserved the win here. I think the other thing, because a lot of people were confused. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, like, I am very glad that Breydon at least got a vote.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, Ty definitely deserved a unanimous one.
I think Ty deserved the title of having a perfect game.
Yeah.
I think so.
No, he did.
The only reason Tera voted Breydon is because she. So from what I've heard, and this could be wrong, but this is what I heard. Essentially what happened was they were very unsure with who they were going to vote. It ultimately just came down to who had won that final HOH and who made the move. And because Ty had won that final HOH, that pretty much solidified his win. It didn't matter what answers he gave at that point. They were going to vote for him no matter what, which I like because they're rewarding who deserves the best game. They're not basing it off of the questions and things like that. Mm-hmm. It was solely based on who won that final HOH. And it made sense. I think, obviously comp wins. I don't like when people base it off comp wins, but I feel like in this case, it made sense because at that point, Bray and Ty's wins were pretty much equal. It just came down to,
Ty had more.
Yeah, it just really came down to if Ty was able to get that final HOH, and he ended up doing it. And so I think Tera was not privy to that conversation. So I feel like that's probably why she voted Breydon, but also because like she said that she was going to, so she wanted to stick to her guns there. So I get it. I get it.
She doesn't like Ty, from what I've heard.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that too.
I find her being the reason, like her being that denial of a perfect game for a perfect player, someone who actually genuinely did play perfectly. I found that disheartening, especially considering her microaggressive comments early on in the season.
Oh yeah,
just for that to come first full circle was really disheartening to watch.
Yeah, and that's the reason
I'm not saying Breydon deserved to lose unanimously. Don't get me wrong there. I'm just disappointed that after all those comments that Tera had, and then denying a perfect game of the proper title of perfect game,
right,
was disappointing in my opinion.
Yeah, she definitely did say some things about Ty that were not great early on the season, and that's one of the reasons why I could just never fully get behind her. As a player. I know there were a lot of Tera stans out there. I'm just not one of them. I don't.
Oh, me neither.
I never hated her.
There was a video on her Instagram that just surfaced that she talks about how important it is that Kamala Harris was the first African American vice president. Blah blah. Well, not blah blah blah. It's very important.
Oh yeah.
But it felt. But to see her getting clocked as performative, rightfully so. That was she's very performative there.
Definitely. I would definitely say that she is. And again, like, I never hated her by any means, but because of that, and also the fact that I just don't think she played a winning game, that's why I was never like, oh, Tera's going to win. I'm a huge Tera stan. And also,
I did not want Tera to win.
A big part of that was people wanted, like, someone that won a buyback to finally win the game. And, like, I just don't want that to be Tera. I don't want that to be Tera.
That technically already happened if you look at Survivor as like a game where a buyback winner did win.
Yeah. No, but Big Brother, it's
for Big Brother wise, it hasn't happened yet, and I don't think it will.
I think
it has happened. I don't know why.
Tera winning would be so disappointing.
Yeah, I would not have enjoyed that at all. I know there were Reddit spoilers that were saying that Tera won unanimously, but I'm very happy to see that was not the case. Because
Reddit was pretty toxic.
Oh my god, the stuff about Tera, like the spoilers, that made me very like stressed.
I mean, I think it was for me. It was obvious that those were not legit because literally
there's no proof.
Literally all you have to do is go onto Reddit and be like, oh my God, Tera won the first HOH. And then be like, oh, Breydon won the
Tera won the Earth HOH.
Yeah.
I kind of forgot the F there.
I've seen a lot of typos on Reddit, so you can say that's intentional, even though it wasn't. Even though that was not intentional, it does still seem like a Reddit spoiler. So, yeah, I'm just happy that was not the case. The right person won the game, and that is 100%. What really does matter here. But there is still one other thing to talk about that I know you're going to bring up.
All right. So it was the results were in for Canada's favorite house guest, which ends up being Kiefer, which apparently it was like close between Kiefer and Vic.
Which I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all.
Honestly, like
How do you know that?
I've just according to like things, but who knows?
I was gonna say they didn't announce the top three.
Yeah.
Which they very much should have. I wish I like I like when they do that because it shows like where like the votes were going, and I think it's cool just to see like who was in the running for it.
I feel like it would have been close between like him, Vic, and Ro. Is my guess.
I think those were definitely like the three big contenders. And I'm not surprised at all that Kiefer ended up getting this though. I feel like Kiefer's a player that
they should have announced who got last place.
That would have been funny. It probably would have been like Kyle.
I bet.
Probably.
Kyle or Beth. Yeah,
or
Beth too.
Well, honestly,
I bet.
That's like last.
Enjoy Jerry Beth. Enjoy no votes, Beth.
Enjoy Jerry Beth.
Stay off of Twitter, Beth.
But yeah. I've been very up and down with Kiefer. Like at the start, I wasn't like preseason. I wasn't a fan of him. Then it grew on me, and then I didn't like some of his comments. But I definitely like grew to really like him and enjoy him as a player. And I do like his passion for everything.
Mm-hmm.
I like his story. I like his story. I like his background. I enjoyed learning about his culture directly through him.
Yeah,
there's a lot. Between him and Damien, who is also a First Nations house guest, I've learned a lot about all that stuff. Because as an American, we don't get taught a lot of this stuff, and it was really educational.
Oh, exactly. That was just Emily.
The car horn agrees.
That was Emily. She was saying bye because she's going to her nephew's birthday.
Oh, okay. Emily agrees. Emily agrees.
That caught me so off guard. No, but like Kiefer's backstory.
I love that you went off the screen and then Emily honked at me.
I know.
That was so funny though.
To get back on track though, I enjoyed Kiefer as a person. As I thought he was a fantastic representative for Indigenous people.
Yeah.
Like I said, learned a lot from watching Kiefer. And despite him being cocky here and there,
oh yeah,
I personally believe it was justified. Like, he had a phenomenal read on the house.
Oh yeah,
by far played a fantastic game. And like you said, his passion for his culture and whatnot was beautiful to watch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is, I said this on Twitter. I think what ultimately got him this win is not just the fact that he was such a good player, because he definitely was one of the best players of the season. I mean, the game he was amazing. And I think if Ty hadn't have won, I would have definitely wanted a Kiefer win, because I think that those two were the most deserving. Bray is probably like third. I think he still played a great game, but I think that Kiefer and Ty definitely were the most deserving. But it's also the fact that he was just, again, himself the entire game. He wasn't afraid to talk about his culture. He wasn't afraid to just be really different, put himself out there, you know, and I think that's what ultimately got him the win here, and I think he definitely deserves it. And I love especially his reaction when at first he just thought that it was like just like a trophy, you know, just him representing his culture and how happy he was. But then when she revealed that there was like money on the line, he got even more excited. It was just it's such a fun moment to watch back when he realizes that there's actual money on the line. That was a lot of fun. And I also, like, I forgot to mention this, I love seeing Ty hug Jed as well. Just a really wholesome moment there. I know it's like, it's all over Twitter, but it's a really great moment. I like that those two like had each other. And even though Ty betrayed him, like Jed didn't hold any like animosity towards him for it. I thought he was going to for a little bit, but I like that ultimately he came around.
Yeah, I agree. And I just love their friendship, and just all of this was just so pure.
Yeah, it really was pretty much like the best possible finale. I think
it was as real as a reindeer.
Yeah, it was the best possible finale that I think that we really could have gotten here. There's really, again, not much I can really like complain here. I think, like I said, aside from them cutting the final two off, which is annoying, and maybe giving a little more time to the jury roundtable, those are and cutting that one montage altogether. Like, this was pretty much like the ideal finale in my eyes. I really wouldn't have had it any other way. And I feel like it's a very fitting end to this season because, I mean, let's face it, this is one of the best seasons we've had in so long. I mean, it's very rare.
Top three for me.
Definitely for me, very high up there. And the thing is, like, you can attest to this, like the entire season, we were like, okay, when is this going to finally start getting boring? When is this going to finally start getting uninteresting? And it never happened. There was never a point this season. Okay, there was 1 week. I was not really into. It was the week where Kyle left, but it's because Kyle left and I didn't give a shit.
That was just such a like basic week.
Yeah, that was
I was all the way here for it. I hated Kyle. I still do. Thank you for blocking me.
That was the only week where I was like, I don't really care what's happening here. This is kind of boring. But other than that, like, I think this has been such a consistent season. We had players that legitimately were here to play the game. Even players like say Tina, for example, who didn't really do much of anything. Every single person here wanted to play the game. Every single person here came into the game because they wanted to play. They weren't here for exposure. They weren't here because they wanted to like get more followers on Twitter or something like that. They were here because they wanted to play the game. And that was so refreshing to see. And even more refreshing is just, again, to see not just the POC representation, but just the representation in general and how diverse this cast was, all of them coming from such different backgrounds. I loved the conversations that like Kiefer would engage in with other people that would not, really didn't know a lot about Haida Nation, and him kind of like educate them about a little bit. It was really enlightening to see. I thought I definitely was one of the things that I really did enjoy. I like that they were able to have like these hard conversations. I think that stuff is really good. And it also just makes the gameplay a lot more interesting. I've talked about this for years, like having a truly diverse cast. It makes things so much more fun to watch because you don't just have the same people going for each other. You have very different groups of people, variations of people, even in age, going for each other. And it's just so much more interesting to watch. And for me, that's why I think this season succeeded as much as it really did.
It was like one of the best seasons for sure. And
absolutely,
I loved it so much. And I just can't believe it's over already.
I know, and I know we talked about this before, but like I think this like also should set a precedent for maybe not having seasons be so long, because having a smaller cast really works wonders because of the fact that, like, we're already like, holy shit, it's already over. Normally it's like, oh my god, it's finally over. Like this is a completely different. You can like watch this and then watch, say, our Big Brother 22 like finale thoughts. It's like night and day. Like you would not think we're talking about the same show.
That's because technically we're not.
Well, we're not, but like it's still Big Brother. So like you know, it's like crazy to think about just how different the environment of this season was, how different our thoughts on this season was. It was just really refreshing to watch everything go down. And what a great first season to finally cover on this podcast. Really, I don't think we could have picked a better season to really start with, or for me to finally watch Big Brother Canada with. I don't think I could have picked a better season here. Really,
I would attest to that. You picked a really good first season. As somebody who started from day one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and just top-tier gameplay all around. Yes, there were points where the gameplay was very questionable from some players, but again, it did end up helping some of the other players in the game, and especially for someone like Ty, like the game that he ended up playing, it only enhanced his game in that way. So, like, yeah, there was a lot of weird gameplay going on, but I'd much rather see that than just seeing a fucking steamroll all season, and that was much better here. Is like, and especially with the comps even, we talked about this, just getting to see comps where anyone could win. It wasn't like, oh, only Jed and Ty can win this. Only, like Victoria can win this. Like it was truly a comp where everyone could win. And so the HOHs were a lot more interesting in that way. I think if this was like US Big Brother, we wouldn't have like an Austin HOH. We wouldn't have a Tera HOH. Those things would not have happened. So I think it was interesting. Maybe it wasn't the most ideal outcome, but it made for very interesting television. And I really did enjoy getting to see that, getting to see where everyone's heads were at. Just such a phenomenal season of television overall. There really is not much I would change here. Again, aside from maybe like, again, some of the comps weren't as interesting. I'm not a huge fan of the Marcia tasks and things like that, but they're not going to change that. So that's really...
Marcia's a Big Brother Canada staple.
Yeah. And I will say the fake double eviction in hindsight was completely pointless. There was no reason for it. Even though Tera did...
Honestly, the best fake double would have been Victoria and Roe.
Oh, yeah, that would have been way more interesting. And I think in terms of, it just in general was not something that we ever needed very much at all. But other than that, there really is not much I'd change about this season. I think the way things played out, again, felt like a fever dream. Like it felt like you were on a fan fiction page and it's like, this is what happened. No, this is actually what happened. Especially like Ty turn against the Alliance, like things that we've wanted to see in Big Brother for so long actually happened this season, and it was just incredible to watch.
I have not been as shocked as I was when Ty made his nominations in the double.
Yeah,
when it was Beth and Tera, I was like, whoa!
I know,
right?
I kind of was low-key kind of expecting Ty and Beth to kind of still work together a little bit.
Yeah, I thought Kiefer was going up. I thought Kiefer was going up.
Me too. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Yeah, just crazy the way that whole thing played out. Because I feel like in a regular season, like that is like what would have ended up happening. And like I said, just in general, just what an amazing season to cover. There was so much to always talk about. There was never a point where we're like, oh, we don't have much to discuss here. Like we were invested the entire time, and it was just amazing to watch.
When you mentioned fan fiction, Jen, Beth, and Ty would be some 50 Shades shit.
Not that at all. That is not what I was.
No, we would actually watch 50 Shades. That one could actually get viewers. I don't know about Beth and Jed or Beth.
Well, 50 Shades is very.
I don't know about that.
If you mute your movie, then it would be a little bit more enjoyable if Beth were there.
It's such a cheesy movie.
Actually, no, because they don't seem into it. So that's a whole other discussion. Though. 50 Shades. That's all I'm going to say. You guys know how I feel about 50 Shades. If you've watched it, I'm not a fan of any of those movies, very much at all. But either way, not much else for me to say about the season. Like I said, I think it was pretty much the way that it should have, especially in terms of the finale. If there's anything else that you guys want to weigh on in terms of the season or finale overall.
I'm gonna say I disagree. I want to rehash this. I disagree about there being a good fake double.
Oh yeah,
the one in season 4 wasn't that good either. It's just
True.
It's just like, what's the reason? And
it just didn't happen. Do a buyback. Don't do a fake.
I
double.
will. Well, it you kind of got both, but for this,
no, but like do a buyback of like maybe like the 4 jurors or something like that. Like that would have been more interesting.
Which is what season 3. They haven't done a buyback since season 3, and it was like the pre-jury. And I would not mind seeing another.
Yeah,
like that,
especially this season. It would have been really cool to see.
That would have
those 4 duke it out.
No, but the double, even in season 4, the fake double, all it did was ruin Mitch's game. So.
Yeah, for sure.
As much as a fan of Kelsey I am, I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't think it ruined anyone's game this season. It really just elongated like Beth's demise. That's really all it did.
You were Final 4 for like an hour.
It was so funny. Yeah, that was really funny the way that ended up playing out. But that's pretty much all we do have to say here. Before we do end things off, I do want to say thank you to all of our guests throughout the season. I don't know if you're watching right now, but like truly, the whole point of us doing this podcast in general was just, well, one, so she could finally be on my channel because she's wanted to for forever. And so I wanted an opportunity for her to finally be on, but also so we can talk to other people and see their opinions on the season. Like we had a lot of guests that sometimes felt differently than we did. Like say Justin, for example, was a big like Tina and Tera fan. Do I understand it? Not really, but like he loved Tina and Tera and I was here for it. So
put him on blast, but don't you?
I was very much here for it because I enjoyed getting to hear the different opinions. I enjoyed getting to hear the different point of views. It was just overall a very interesting discussion. And so I very much thank all of our guests throughout the season. Just taking the time.
I actually want to buy back to get here, just like Tera. No.
Taking the time to out of your day to talk with us for however long it may be. We really do appreciate it. And I don't think we say it enough just how much we appreciate everyone coming on throughout this coverage of the season. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I loved it so much, and I just appreciated being here, and I'm just grateful, and I'm grateful for everyone for like coming on to the show.
Definitely, but before
sorry,
what?
No, I was gonna say as a 2-time last minute add-on, I will say it has been pretty fun.
I mean, you weren't really an add-on because, like,
we had you on our list. We just like had you on earlier than expected.
It's basically
either way. I kind of jumped in last minute.
So yeah.
Even though I knew we both knew that
I was on the list. Yeah.
Yeah, you were.
It was up in the air still until last minute.
Yeah.
Well, before we do keep at the risk of us just continuing to like ramble on and on, Mike, I am going to give you a chance to do your outro, plug your socials, all that kind of stuff. So go ahead.
What it do, baby?
Yes.
Jedson, please follow me. My Twitter's WonderpuffSSD. That's also my Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. I'll link you if you want it. This has been fun. I do enjoy talking shit, but jokes aside, as somebody who has had trouble in the past within online communities, I think this has been a fantastic platform to have to show that I have changed and I am a much better person than I was in November. And I appreciate the second life I've been given, regardless.
We love to hear it. We love the
whether it just be a podcast or playing Banishment under an alias. I am very grateful.
We really do love the growth a lot. That's always a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But anyways, guys, that's really it. We are going to do some off-season stuff. I talked to Aly about it. We are going to be doing a video where we are going to react to our initial casting thoughts from everyone. I think that's going to be fun to do, just to see how far off we were with how everyone actually played. So I think that's going to be fun to watch overall. So we might do some stuff like that. We are, of course, going to do our finale of The Circle. That's going to be on Monday, I believe. So look forward to that. But in terms of Big Brother Canada, that's it for now. We are going to be back for US, of course. This is going to be the format in which we review Big Brother moving forward, because I enjoy this format. I enjoy talking to you. I enjoy having guests on, all that kind of stuff. So definitely look forward to that. I think we're gonna start our coverage of High School Musical, the series, season 2, possibly next week. So look forward to that. Don't know if we're gonna have any guests on. We'll see, but we'll really see how that ends up playing out. But either way, guys, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, thank you guys for watching our reviews of this season. It's been a lot of fun for sure. We will see you guys in our next video. I gotta go grab dinner, so I will see you guys for that.
The bar is low, CBS.
We'll see you guys in the next video.
The bar is low.
Yes.